My YouTube world, this is Johnny Mo. We're going to go over some application stuff. I want to talk to you about this. I'm going to try to educate you to the best of my ability on picking a product and knowing how to put it down. There's two products that I used this year. I used Evade 0.375, which is a pre-emergent, and I used Dimension pre-emergent. I was not satisfied with my pre-emergent on Evade or Barricade. I will never use it again. So for now on, we're just going to talk about Dimension 0.15. Now, pre-emergent means before crabgrass arrives, meaning in a cool season grass when the soil temperature reaches about 57, 58 degrees, what will happen is crabgrass will start to form just beneath the surface and will soon poke its head up through if you do not have a pre-emergent down. Now, pre-emergent means before the blade comes through. Post-emergent, which I use this, quinchloric, is a mixture with post-emergent, which I have to mix with water and then spray it on the crabgrass. Now, this stuff here is good up until about five tillers, meaning once you start to see about 5 blades and they get a little thick, you either have to mix this really strong or go to a product called Drive. I generally just use this because I try to catch all the crabgrass at the smaller stages, because if you don't and it gets up to the bigger stages, 5 tillers or more, what will happen is when you kill it, it kind of looks bad, it's red, it's orange, and there's bare spots, which leave room for weeds and other things. So this is my choice only because it's cheaper. This is a very cheap product. Drive is super expensive, but it does work in the later stages. Now, let's go back to pre, post. Now, in order for this to work properly, you got to get this product down and settled in before the temperature reaches 58 degrees. This is the biggest thing where people mess this product up, especially people who have a lot of customers. And you have to start early in March and you go all the way to May. All of a sudden the soil heats up and it's almost too late for this pre. You better have some post. So pre, meaning before it reaches 58 degrees, this has got to be settled in and get down. Now they say Dimension is a post. What they mean by post, it does not mean that once it's come through the soil, but once the soil reaches 58 degrees, crabgrass will start to germinate just underneath the soil rate. And what happens is it's going to start popping up through a tiller. A tiller is one leaf. And the tiller starts in the soil and then it'll work its way up through it, breaks through. Now, they claim that Dimension has some post, meaning once the tiller starts to break, once the seed starts to turn into the tiller, not before it gets up through the soil, but right when it's underneath, this is supposed to take care of it. I do not think that this product does what it's advertised to do. I've seen it so many times. I've put this product down and I've still got crabgrass. There's some reasons why that I've gotten crabgrass. There's a lot of different reasons. This is not a perfect science. This does not work perfectly, but it does help. Your best defense against crabgrass is a thick, lush, healthy lawn. The more grass you have, the less chance you're going to have crabgrass. Now, let's go over this. Here's the biggest reasons why I believe most people are not getting a good crabgrass control down. First of all, they don't know the soil temperature. That's number one. Number two, they're not getting enough of the active ingredient down, 0.15. This is a pretty high part of Dimension. There's a 0.25, but you don't need it. You can go 0.15. 0.10 is too low. And here, let me explain to you why. Right here, it tells you how to mix this product. So, on the low side, now this is pretty much what everyone uses is the low side for the product. You want to put 3.8 pounds of product down per 1,000 square feet. So a 50-pound bag, you're supposed to put 3.8. To me, that's not a very good chance of control. Now, I like to put it down at a medium rate at 5.8. You know, maybe a little bit shy of that, 5.5. So this product's going to cost you a lot of money to put down. So we'll say it's 5 times your property. Let's say it's 15. 5 times 15, 25. 5, 6, 7. So you're going to need 75 pounds of product on a 15,000 square foot lawn. So that means you're going to need a bag and a half for a 15,000 square foot lawn. You cannot just go in with this low rate and expect to knock out crabgrass and be effective. That's why it's on the low end. Now, where would I use a low end of this product? Say I had a very well-groomed lawn where I don't think crabgrass is going to be a big issue. Then you can go at 3.8 pounds per thousand. Generally, I go around 5 pounds per thousand. It gives me a good, solid barrier, and it generally works pretty well. Sometimes where it doesn't work well is when you get a lot of rain like we had this year. That rain will break down the barrier, and this is why you need this stuff, quincloric, to kill any post, meaning crabgrass that has come up after the 60 degrees. It'll generally pop up around in June, and then it'll start germinating from June, July, and August, and then it starts to go the other way. It'll pop a seed head up, and then it'll put next year's crop down. If I have a bad crabgrass year, this is a technique that I use, is I'll use dimension in the spring, and I'll use dimension on my last application in the fall. Very good application rate. And again, guys, you really need to know your numbers. You really need to know what you're doing when you're putting this stuff down. You have to look at this, and you have to calibrate your spreader to make sure you're getting exactly what is being put down. Most people have no clue on how to calibrate a spreader. They'll just go to Lowe's, pick up a little spreader. Oh, it says to go on N. Well, I'm going to put it on N. And then they calibrate, and they think that they're doing something good. And they always use the low number. This is why you got to understand, if you're going to have a good, healthy lawn, you got to realize you got to calibrate your spreader. You also definitely do need to make sure that you're putting down enough product. Something else to look at. This 1806, this 18, the reason why it's so low is because generally it's being put on in the spring. I don't need a full pound of nitrogen, so I'd like to go lower. Here's the other product I used. This is Evade. I've been known to go even 13 when it's a rainy spring like it was this year. Why would I put 1806 down when I can put this down and not give it that surge growth? One of the worst things you can do for your lawn is to give it surge growth and then go cut 5, 6 inches off your grass. You're not going to have a healthy turf. What you want to do is to make sure that you have a good mix of nitrogen and the products being put down at the right amount for each and every application. I put slow release down on every one of them. This is all slow release. This has slow release, coated sulfur coated. This is 25% slow release. In the midsummer, I like to go 75% slow release on different things. So this is your application rates. This is your lesson on crabgrass. I get this question so much, like the product didn't work. First thing you want to do, how healthy is your lawn? Next thing you want to do, get that lawnmower blade up there. I don't cut anything under 3.5 inches when it's fertilized. That's the minimum you're going to go. Non-fertilized lawns, I'll go 3 inches. I do not want to be cutting real low into the dirt. Any type of bare spot has the potential to grow crabgrass. So you cannot guarantee this product that if you got a bunch of bare spots that you're not going to have crabgrass, because there's nothing to force it out. The only thing you can do is post-emergency. Get this or a product called Drive. Drive is a great product. It's very expensive. That's why I generally go with this. Now, right now, this product will not kill crabgrass because it's in the last stages, the tiller stages. So what I have to do is I have to mix this a lot heavier if I want it to work. I just sprayed some crabgrass last week. It did work on some of it, but it didn't work on all of it. So that lets me know that I need to buy another jug of Drive if I want to knock it out before the end of the year. So that's my lesson on crabgrass. Let's go over review real quickly. Number 1, this product must be down pre, meaning before crabgrass gets established and starts to grow from its seed form. It's 58 degrees. Number 2, make sure you're cutting your lawn between 3 inches and 3.5, preferably 3.5. Now, I understand there's certain types of grass species that does not like to be cut that high. It'll fall over. So if you have that type, fine fescue is one of them, bent grass is another in the Northeast. So what you want to do is you want to bring it down until you can just start to get it where it's sitting just perfectly erect, but not too short to where you're going to cause it to be thin. Again, fine fescue is a little rough grass to be trying to cut at 3.5 or 3 3/4. So you can bring that down to 3 3.25, but nothing smaller than that. I prefer you to just stay at 3.5. Keeping a very thick lawn will help you keep crabgrass down. Tip number 3, when you're doing your edging, do not edge out your sidewalks, meaning don't expose dirt. Don't rip an edge, a blade edge across it. That is crabgrass heaven. You are going to have crabgrass down those sides constantly, where you're going to have to keep spraying this stuff all the time to keep the crabgrass down. You want to keep an erect edges, meaning you want grass fully out all the way to the edge and standing straight up and down. It's very easy to do with a weed whacker. We don't edge here in the Northeast. There's many reasons why we don't edge. I know there's a lot of videos where people edge out their sidewalks. They use their weed whackers. They use their the blade edgers. We don't do that here in the Northeast. Number one, we live in a snow belt, meaning that leaves water to get down in that edge and then do a freeze thaw. Because what will happen, water will run down into that edge, wash out that dirt, then freeze thaw will happen. And then what happens is, over the winter, it'll push the cement up. Another reason why we don't edge out is because for suing. If you were to do a commercial site like that and a lady would get her heel caught in between the cement and the grass, that goes on you. That's a lawsuit if she falls over. So the best thing that you can do when you want a perfectly manicured lawn, if you're going to edge, you're going to have crabgrass issues along those edges. You're going to have to spray it constantly to keep the crabgrass, because crabgrass loves the hot of the cement. And generally what happens is the cement will heat that soil up first. And if you don't get the pre-emergent down quick enough, it'll always come up. See, cement will heat the like maybe 6 inches in on the grass turf. So that 6 inches could be sitting at 60 degrees while the rest of the turf is sitting at 54 degrees. And that's why you see a lot of crabgrass right in the edges. Another reason why you get a lot of crabgrass in those edges is because people do not properly put on an edge guard on their spreader. They don't have edge, they don't have anything to shut the spreader off, and it just flows all over the driveway, and it doesn't get a good application right onto the side of that edge. So what you need to do is get yourself a quality spreader, have it calibrated properly, and get a nice little edge guard so where you're just focusing that crabgrass and those beets right in those edges. That way you have a proper amount of product going to the edges instead of just flowing all over the driveway and just trying to blow it in. It's not something you want to do. It's not professional. Make sure you're using professional equipment, especially when dealing with crabgrass control. That's my time, guys.